All right, let me ask you this. How many times has this situation happened to you? So let's say you have this goal and you really want to achieve it, and obviously you do something about it. You take action, but you fail in the process, and then all hell breaks loose, because that's when you start to criticize yourself, to blame yourself, and even judge yourself for failing, even though you gave everything you've got. Like, how many times has this happened to you? Because I know for sure it happened a lot to me. And the truly fascinating part about this situation is that if one of your friends was in the exact same situation as yourself and failed in the exact same way that you failed, you probably wouldn't have judged them that harsh. You probably wouldn't have blamed them for failing. Instead, you would have encouraged them. You would have said, yeah, man, maybe you failed this time, but I'm sure you'll get it the next time. Right? You would be a great friend to them, wouldn't you? And so the question that I asked myself after this was, why is it so hard? Why do we find it so difficult to be such great friends to ourselves? To encourage ourselves when we fail, to motivate ourselves when we feel lost. Why do we find it so hard? And look, to be honest with you, I started thinking about this after watching a video about loneliness. So there was this cowboy-looking guy on YouTube, and he was talking about loneliness, about why do we find it so unbearable to be alone, to be lonely? Why do we crave another person, a partner, or a really good friend? And his answer was quite interesting, I would say, because he had an interesting take, because the default answer would be that we humans are social creatures, so we obviously need social interaction, and superficial social interaction is not enough. We need that depth, that connection. But this guy's answer was kind of fascinating. And the first question that he raised in that video was that, okay, you feel lonely and you want a partner, but why exactly do you want that partner or that good friend? What it is exactly that you expect to get or that you want to get from them, to receive from them? What is it? And naturally, there'll be things like honesty. You'd want that partner to be honest with you, but also you'd want them to support you maybe. You'd want them to encourage you, to stand by your side when you're not feeling so well. You'd want those things from a partner, and that is absolutely natural. But the next thing that he said is, okay, you want that partner, but if you don't have them, why don't you offer those things to yourself? Because that's the exact reason why we feel so lonely, or why loneliness feels so unbearable. Because we're constantly criticizing ourselves instead of being our best friends, essentially. We've been living with ourselves for a very long time. And if we're constantly judging ourselves and we have this negative internal dialogue, of course we won't want to be alone. Of course we're going to have this emotional hunger for connection and for other people to fill the void. Because it's just a toxic relationship we have with ourselves. And unlike a toxic friend, you can't banish your mind. It's impossible. It's going to be there with you through the good and through the bad. And so, what I found in another video, a really, really cool sentence that I want to share with you, I have it here on this little note. I keep writing things on these little notes right here because it's easier to see and to remind myself of these things. And it says something like this. I'm going to read this for you. We may feel lonely because deep down we're longing for our own friendship. We long for our own support. We long for our own encouragement. We long for our own kindness and admiration. That's why lonely feels so bad, because we're not giving those things to ourselves. All right. And look, again, I'm going to be honest with you. Even though I know these things, even though I know I should be a better friend to myself, I still find it difficult to have this positive internal dialogue. Especially when I'm disappointed, when I do something and fail and I have that bad feeling, I'm really disappointed, I feel really low. I find it hard to encourage myself and to think positively. I really do. But I think I found a little trick, let's say, which would make this a lot easier. And let me choose my words carefully. I don't want you to think I'm insane here, but every time I get in this place where I feel like I'm gonna start to think negatively and I'm gonna start to judge and blame myself, I try to imagine myself as two separate entities. Okay? I try to imagine there's two different guys inside me, okay, in the interior. And one of them is this, the guy that's working, the guy that's trying to achieve its goals, that's maybe sometimes failing, maybe sometimes is rejected and so on. But then there's another entity which is the biggest supporter or the greatest fan of myself. And you can think of this biggest supporter as either a younger version of yourself who is obviously rooting for you. It wants you to succeed. It wants you to get over the hurdles and the roadblocks. It wants you to encourage to move forward. Or you can think of it as an older version of yourself that's wise, that's already successful, and that knows how it feels to go through failure and things like that. And it's gonna have sympathy and empathy for you. But whatever you want to think of this greatest supporter, inner supporter that you do have, it's so much easier to have positive internal dialogue if you feel like it comes from someone else. Even if it's not another real person, it's still another entity from inside you. And it feels like this encouragement is in third person. That's what really makes it so easy for me. And that's what makes me believe it when I'm saying that, yes, you failed right now, but it's gonna happen the next time. You still did well. You gave everything you've got. You performed well. You didn't have you couldn't control the outcome, but you gave everything you've got, so it's okay. No. When I say these things to myself in third person, I imagine another entity saying these things to myself. It's so much more believable, and it just makes me feel better. So hopefully you found this video helpful. Hopefully you're gonna try this and it's gonna work for you. And yeah, that's what I wanted to share with you in this video. We're gonna see each other into the next one. Until next time.